This is Lagoon Radio.
Hello everyone, I am the Right Reverend Ifedola Senasu Gabriel Okupevi, Bishop of Lagos. You are listening to Lagoon Radio, your number one online gospel radio in Nigeria, and the official radio of the Diocese of Lagos Anglican Communion. God bless you as you keep on listening to us. God bless Nigeria. God will keep Nigeria. Lagoon of blessings will be upon you. Keep on listening, keep on smiling, and peace will reign in your domain. In Jesus' name.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to today's edition of Know Your Rights, our legal program on Lagoon Radio, your number one online gospel radio in Nigeria and the official radio of the Anglican Communion Diocese of Lagos, transmitting live from the Diocesan Media Center, 29 Marina, Lagos. It's the 7th day of March, 2025. And of course, I am ANOSIKE, CHIMEZIE, a regular host on the program, welcoming you to today's special edition. Yes, and in celebration of the International Women's Day, yes, like this morning, I heard somewhere that women are our role models in Nigeria, whether we like it or not. So, in celebration of that, the day which comes up tomorrow, we'll be looking at an interesting topic on the program this morning. And the theme for the year is Accelerate Action. And today, we'll be looking at the topic Breaking Barriers, Women, the Law, and the Fight for Equal rights. We saw what happened yesterday on the floor of the Senate, and a lot of people have said if it were to be a man, the outcome would have been different. But you will get to know more in the course of this program. This morning we'll have the pleasure of having Barrister UCHENNA OGUNEDO AKINGBADE. She's a partner at Sunesis DLP. She's a friend of the house. Barrister, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, sir. I'm so happy to be back here again.
Yes, always happy to be here. You're always welcome on the program. Mm-hmm. So let's get to it right now. When we talk about, first, like I said in the opening remarks, they said women are our role models in Nigeria. How true is that comment?
I mean, for most people, women raise them. Yes, you have a father and a mother, but we all know the crucial role that a mother plays, the crucial role that a woman plays. Even if someone does not have a mother for some reason or another, or your mother is not available because everybody has a mother, your mother is dead or your mother is not available, if you look, you will see that it was still a woman who was actively instrumental in raising a child, whether your grandma, your auntie, your nanny, your mom. So those are your first role models, really.
Yeah.
Even when you find a man raising a child alone, there is still the input of a woman somewhere, somehow. So you cannot take away from the fact that women are your role models in society.
Okay, having said that, now when we talk about breaking barriers, women, the law, and the fight for equal rights, sometimes there has been this conversation that women are the ones withholding themselves from breaking the barriers. Can you just lay a foundation of that?
It's as sensitive as it is, but it's the fact. Different ways. I mean, we're products of the society, right?
Yeah.
Starting from the home is the primary unit of society. If not for now, that there's been a lot of sensitization, advocacy, you would find a situation where two children are there, a boy and a girl. Mother will say, "Oh yeah, UCHENNA, come and help me in the kitchen." Your brother is there, he's not helping in the kitchen. When it's time for something, starting from the home, when it's time for something, and this is why we're even here celebrating IWD, because preference has always been given to males. In those days, when it comes time to choose who will go to school, who will stay at home, they would say, okay, you know, the boy has to go, he has a family to take care of and all that. So it was a natural choice to push the men, to push the boys for anything. And the truth of the matter is that most of these practices have been ingrained into us. So maybe with our generation, it's better. With our mother's generation, maybe it was slightly better than their own mother's generation. So the more we talk about it, the more hopefully it improves. But this is how they grew up. Like I said, we started this conversation by saying women are the role models. The family is the primary unit of the society. Many a times than not, it is the women that coordinate what goes on in that family. So those practices that have been ingrained in women from time immemorial, naturally you see it coming to play. So you start from the family. The girl knows that, oh, she has to give way for her brother. She has to be the one to keep the home. The brother does not know that he is responsible for any domestic chores or anything like that. You know, it's the way that we are trained. It's the way that we are programmed. So it starts from the home. And then when you now go out, it continues. It continues. You go into the workplace. Even your fellow women may, because you've been programmed that way, even you as a woman, when you go into the workplace, subconsciously, you would be inclined to give a man more chance than yourself. You will second guess yourself when you and the man are there. As a woman, subconsciously, because of that sociocultural programming. So it takes another level of mental reorientation for a woman to say, hey, I'm the same with a man. Any opportunity that a man is going to have, I can take that opportunity as well. So it's not everybody that is that emotionally intelligent. It's not everybody that is so disciplined to say, I am the same as a man. For those who are, you may now come out as looking forceful, pushy. People will now question and say, who is she? And you find that it's the women that even ask those questions the most, because they themselves have been programmed into thinking that, oh, it's a men's world, let the men have it. If they find themselves in situations like on the floor of the Senate, some of them will consider it a privilege. Some of them may consider it a privilege, and you may be inclined to say, oh, let me just maintain status quo. So indeed, women are the ones that push most of these discriminations that we experience with women. And I will go further when you ask some more questions. I will cite legal examples, I will cite cases of how it's women that perpetrate most of these discriminations against women. Who is she? Her own is too much. Yeah. It will come from women. Because they are comfortable in the status quo that, men should go first. When you see a woman who dares to go first, who is she?
Okay, now let's look at the rights. Because when we talk about this, a lot of women don't actually know their rights. They don't know that they can break these barriers. What are the rights of women enshrined in the 1999 Constitution?
Good. So, like I was saying, legally, the law has even moved past us because the law has made these provisions. We, the humans, we are playing catch up with the law. Some of the provisions under the 1999 Constitution that protect women are Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution, which provide for rights to equality and freedom from discrimination. You also have right to dignity and protection from violence. That's Section 34, Sub 1 of the 1999 Constitution. You also have the right to work and equal pay. Section 17, subsection 3A of the Constitution. You have the right to education. Section 18, subsection 1, you have the right to own property and inherit property. Section 43 of the 1999 Constitution. You have the rights, you have political rights and participation under Section 40. So, the legal frameworks exist. The Constitution is the grand norm of all the laws in the country. Everything is subject to the Constitution. If the Constitution has provided for all this, why are we still struggling? It's not as if the laws are not there. Why are they not being implemented? What are these challenges that are pushing back against the law that is making it difficult for us to be seeing the Constitution translated into reality? Over to you, sir.
Now, especially in the eastern part of Nigeria, when we talk about right of women owning properties, a lot of them still don't know that they can own properties. But kudos to the Imo State governor. Last year, he signed a bill. They signed a bill that allows women to inherit properties. Now, in a climb like ours, what are the steps they need to take to be informed, or what should they do to acquire all this? Because a lot of them, we are coming from on our societal background. A lot of us are not really informed. So what should they do, or what should we do to let them know that this is their rights?
Sensitization, advocacy, what we are doing here. We need to take it down. And it's not just the grassroots. CHIMEZIE, it's not just the grassroots, even the elites. Even the elites, you still have all these situations where people do not even know. They still think that is in those days, you must have a male child. If not, you're not going to benefit from your husband's property. Daughters don't get anything from their father's estate. These repugnant customs have been overturned, first of all, even by the judgment of the courts. There's the case of UKJ versus UKJ. The man had properties in Lagos and, around. He died. Intestate. Intestate means he died without a will. So the wife and the son got letters of administration and excluded this woman from her father's estate. And the woman said it's unfair. She went to court. She said, I'm my father's child. Why should I be excluded from his estate? And went to court, suing her family members. And the court ruled in her favor. Ruled in her favor and said women should be allowed to inherit. And the court ordered that fresh letters of administration should be issued. So, for somebody whose father had properties in Lagos and all around, you can see that they can qualify. I don't know. I can't really say where the properties are, but in a way, they can qualify as elites. So it's not as if they were in the village and, customary rights were applicable there. So even for the elites, this line of thinking is still there. You must be a man. I think those from the western part of the country, they have advanced more in this regard, because you would hardly see any discrimination from those in the western part of the country between male and female when it comes to inheritance. So, sensitization, advocacy, we must talk about it. And guess what? This UKJ verse that I cited for you, the first time I read it, my father forwarded it to our family WhatsApp group. My father has 4 girls and 1 boy. So, we must create awareness. We must continue to create awareness. These things, we must appreciate the fact that change is slow. Change is slow. We are playing catch up to the laws. So how do we accelerate this change? How do we accelerate these things that we hope to see? We must continue to talk. When you hear somebody, you're in a family setting, a family gathering, and you hear somebody say, oh, she doesn't have a boy, this will be the... You enlighten them and say, no, that can't be. That is a repugnant custom. There are laws that guarantee she's guaranteed the right to own property, right to inheritance under the Constitution. There are decided cases in favor of that. So advocacy is key. Advocacy is key. And when you advocate, women will know that they have those rights. And when they know that they have those rights, they will be willing to take steps to defend their rights. Because when they don't know, they'll say, okay, this is how it is. This is the custom. This is the tradition. And they will stay. They will maintain the status quo. But when we continue, we do continuous sensitization. We do continuous awareness. It's the same way all those barbaric widowhood practices, gradually they are being eroded because there has been a high level of sensitization and advocacy. So we must continue to talk. We must continue to enlighten ourselves. What you are doing now, this is part of the journey. Yeah. This is part of accelerating change, talking about it, because people are listening and they are knowing that they have the right to own property. Don't be afraid to enforce your right to own property. Don't be afraid to enforce your right to inheritance. It's your right as a woman. You are not less of an individual than a man.
Okay, before we go on a break, recently in America, the national team women football, they were agitating for equal pay on football. And the same thing, the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Is there anywhere in the Constitution that says that the women should not earn equal pay? But there has been this conversation that maybe the male football team earns more than the women. But in US, it's a big protest now. And some national teams, even including Nigerian national team, they are joining the protest that we should receive equal pay like the male national team. So, is it enshrined in Constitution also?
Oh yes, it's enshrined. Section 17, subsection 3A of the 1999 Constitution mandates equal pay for equal work. If you're doing the same work, you should earn the same. If you're all playing football, you should be earning the same pay. And, but however, what I can say to this, as part of the fight for this equality, women as well, we must learn to position ourselves and give equal value.
Okay.
If you want equal pay, you must be ready to give equal value. If you're giving less than the next person, yes, you're in the same profession. Yes, you're all playing football. But what's the value that you're giving in that football? How can you strategically position your team so that it is seen to be giving as much value as the male team is? So, equal pay for equal work, but I will add my own and say, give equal value.
Okay.
But we must also be aware that there are certain challenges that women may face that may impede their ability to give equal value. So while we are considering all this, we also need to balance it out properly.
Okay, you're still listening to Know Your Right, our legal program on Lagoon Radio, your number one online gospel radio in Nigeria and the official radio of the Anglican Diocese of Lagos, transmitting live from the Diocesan Media Center, 29 Marina, Lagos. It's all about the International Women's Day, and we are talking about breaking barriers, women, the law, and the fight for equal rights. You can also be a part of the program. The studio line is 08189 524666. You can also watch us live on Facebook. It's LagoonRadioNigeria. And on YouTube, yes, we are live, LagoonTV. We'll go on a short break. But UCHENNA is still here. When we come back, we give you some more. Keep listening to us.
This is Lagoon Radio. This is Lagoon Radio.
Yes, you're welcome back. You still Know Your Right, our legal program on Lagoon Radio, your number one online gospel radio in Nigeria and the official radio of the Anglican Diocese of Lagos, transmitting live from the Diocesan Media Center, 29 Marina, Lagos. is Know Your Right, our legal program. Like you always know, it comes your way every Friday, 9:10 to 10 a.m. And yes, the International Women's Day is tomorrow. And the theme for the year, Accelerate Action. And today we are discussing the topic, Breaking Barriers, Women, the Law, and the Fight for Equal Rights. Barrister UCHENNA AKINGBADE is here. She's a partner, Sunesis, DLP. And let's look at, briefly, let's look at what transpired for 1 week now on the floor of the Senate. Barrister Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and the Senate president. Allegations has been made anyway. But a lot of people have said, because she's a woman, that the fight is already against her. Now, bringing it down to us here now, I went to the street and some women said this has been their fear for venturing into politics, because you find it that anywhere that is any profession that is male dominated, that fewer women do take their chances, but the ones who do, they are always intimidated. Now, on breaking barriers, what do women need to do? Let's start with this scenario. What do women need to do in the political space of this country?
Honestly, it's a tricky one to answer, but I would say, first of all, I'd commend every woman who has taken the bold step to go into politics. Because going into politics, it's something that is a tough decision to make, whether for females or for males. Because politics, we all know that the political terrain is rough. It's a dog-eat-dog world. So it requires a lot of boldness to step into the political terrain. If we're going to talk about Senator Natasha, we'll look at her journey. We'll look at her journey all through, all that she's done. We'll see how she fought to even get to that Senate. And some people may say, oh, she's such a fighter. But then again, men always do this. Is this the first? Have we not seen them exchange blows on the floor of the Senate or on the House of Reps? We have seen it happen severally, but because it was men, it wasn't as scandalous. Do you understand? So the courage to even step into that terrain in the first place, it takes a lot of mental reorientation. It takes a lot of working yourself up as a woman, because you're working with different things here. Number one, I take you back to the beginning of this discourse. Remember that I've said that we have been socio-culturally programmed to see ourselves as, oh, the men should go first. I don't want to see ourselves as lesser than men. To see ourselves as, oh, we should take the back seat while the men go. We have been socio-culturally programmed to see our place as, keepers of the home, and, oh, that should consume us completely. There's no more room in us to do more. But guess what? A lot of women have the capacity to do more. A lot of women have the capacity to manage their homes, to manage their work, and to take on additional responsibilities in society. But it's because of, what would I call it, the biases that they may face out there, that most people will be comfortable and say, oh, let me stay in my position. I'm doing well in my home. I'm happy. I'm married. I have children. Everything is going well in my home. That's good enough. That's my primary priority. It's also okay for people to say, oh, I'm doing well in my work. I'm thriving. I'm successful. Let me just stay in my lane. Let me not do more as a woman. Now, for somebody to take the additional step and say, okay, there's home, there's work, and I still want to veer out. I want to contribute to my society. I want to be a game changer. I want to make an impact on the wider society apart from my primary constituency of my home, my place of work. It takes a lot of courage to do that for men and for women. So, first of all, that political terrain, whether you're a man, you're a woman, it takes a lot of guts to step in there and to navigate it. Now, this woman has gotten to the floor of the house. I'm not going to join issues of whether the sitting position was this or whether the sitting position was this or whether it was that. But she's made grave allegations of sexual harassment. And that makes us wonder, where are our sexual harassment laws? How are women and men protected against sexual harassment? And I'm careful to include men here because it's not only women that suffer sexual harassment. What kind of laws do we have? We have the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, which criminalizes domestic violence and other kinds of violence. That protects, is not specific to women, but we know that majority of the domestic violence or violence in terms of sexual crimes or all that is majorly perpetrated against women. Now there's a bill that is still before the floor of the House, Sexual Harassment in Tertiary Institutions Bill. It's still a bill. And it's for tertiary institutions. So, how about in the workplace? The labor law does not specifically provide for sexual harassment. You now leave it to organizations to craft their sexual harassment policies. This woman submitted, I read, even though I didn't read it in detail, submitted a petition on the sexual harassment, and they said it was thrown out. What I read was that a petition cannot be signed by the petitioner. In such a situation, who do you think is going to join?
She resubmitted yesterday.
Oh,
again.
she did. Okay,
yes.
I've not caught up with that. So there should be clear laws. In fact, this should even. I'm not privy to the Senate rules. I'm not privy to that, so I can't say categorically whether there are clear provisions. I'm sure that there are clear provisions on sexual harassment, but this fiasco just goes to show that whatever provisions are there, it needs to be more robust. They need to expand on it, and they need to ensure that they leave no stone unturned. If somebody as high as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria can be complaining of sexual harassment, whether true or not, because this is subject to investigation. You know, everybody is subject to fair hearing. Everybody is a constitutional right. You have the right to fair hearing. So she has said her own. Let us hear his own. But for an issue like this to be coming up on the floor of the Senate, that shows that it is on the issue of sexual harassment, there should be a state of emergency declared on it. They should quickly look into developing a robust legal framework on sexual harassment. These are the people that make the laws. These are our lawmakers. So if somebody on that floor makes a complaint and we are not, the whole thing is not seeming so clear, please, disclaimer, I'm not saying her complaint is right or wrong. I'm not saying that. So, but it just goes to talk about the issue that this thing is real. So we need a robust framework on this that will guide all places of work and other spheres. We need to understand how people can be protected. So this is an area. So if nothing else comes out of this entire fiasco, but that Nigeria gets a robust sexual harassment legal framework, then I believe that we have made some progress. So there are gaps that need to be filled. There are gaps that need to be filled, and this goes to show you that it's not just in the backward places that these things happen. It's not just in the offices that this thing happen. This is the hallowed Senate, the floor of the Senate. So whether it has happened or not, we don't know. But this is an issue. This is an issue, and it needs to be addressed. And we, the good people of Nigeria, justice needs to be seen to be done. So they need to carry us along, and they need to start acting fast on developing a comprehensive legal framework on sexual harassment.
Okay, before we proceed, we'll have a comment. Shenwu said, good morning, Lagoon Radio. Good morning, the barrister. I'm enjoying the program. For me, women are the barrier against themselves, especially in Nigeria.
We have addressed that now.
Yes.
So starting from the home, have you finished this question? Or
yes, it's just a comment.
It's what it is. Because starting from the home, honestly, because even we who are talking now, how many of us are taking active steps at home to train our male and female children such that they do not see any difference between themselves? How many of us, as enlightened as we are, in this year 2025, how many of us are taking steps to ensure gender parity in our homes? Whether you are a mother, you are a father, you are a sister, you are an uncle, you are an auntie. If you go to your sister's house and you see that they have summoned the girl child into the kitchen to come and cook, come and wash plates, and the boy is there playing game, what are you doing? What are you doing to remedy that situation? How are you, whether as a man or as a woman, because this thing is not just about, it's not only women that will accelerate action. Men as well support. Women, I say it, and I say it categorically. We have the greater role to play in bridging this gender parity.
Okay, now, you've talked about legal awareness, and what are other paths we can take to break these barriers, especially for women? You talked about home and the rest of them. What are other steps we need to take to break these barriers?
So, I've already spoken about sensitization, advocacy. That is the first step. We must create awareness. We must make people know that these things are wrong. Honestly, people say, and I'll digress a bit, people say the world is becoming worse. In my opinion, I don't think so. I actually think that we are improving little by little. The reason why it seems, in my opinion, the reason why it seems the world is becoming worse is because we have more access to information. If something happens in Antarctica today, me and you sitting in this radio studio, in less than 2 seconds, we can get that information. That's why it seems like things are happening everywhere, because we have more access to information. So we are making progress. We are actually making progress, and it is the sensitization and advocacy that is helping us make that progress. I'll give you an example, and I've given this example to a number of people. I have 2 sons. I don't have a daughter yet. And one day, my son said to me, "Oh, Mommy, why is it that they are always celebrating girls in the school? They will celebrate International Girls' Day. They will celebrate all sorts of days for girls. They will even make us to come out and sing for the girls, but they are not celebrating anything for the boys." So that shows me that advocacy is working, but we also need to strike the proper balance so that we will not, because now we are benefiting from this generation. We are benefiting from all the advocacy that has been done, all the steps that have been done over time, over decades. We are benefiting from it. That is why you can find that you have so many female MDs of banks. You have so many women, charting into politics. You have women doing things, even though the gap has not yet been bridged. But we are more conscious of the steps that we need to take. So we are seeing the product of advocacy. We are seeing the product of sensitization. Everything starts from a conversation. Everything starts from talk. When you talk, people get reoriented. Their minds shift and they say, oh, okay, can we do this better? You find situations where if somebody comes and posts on social media of how a house help or something is being abused, there'll be an uproar. But these were things that were so commonplace in the past. Nobody even saw anything wrong with it. But because there has been sensitization, there has been advocacy over the years, things that are bad are, people are beginning to see things that are bad as bad. That is the role of advocacy. You must talk. When you talk, when one person talks, you will talk. It goes round. That's advocacy. Number 2, financial empowerment. Women must take the step to empower themselves financially. When you are financially empowered, you will hardly be at the mercy of anybody. If this woman, do you think that somebody who is not financially empowered can get to the floor of the Senate?
No.
Do you think you will even have the guts to take that step? If this woman did not know who she was, if she was not financially empowered, do you think she will have the guts to raise these things that she has raised? So there is something about financial empowerment that makes you able to stand your own. Money is not everything, but money can be such a barrier, such a limiting factor. Women must challenge the status quo. We must not be content, and I say this boldly, we must not be, but while I say this boldly, but I'm not saying that go and challenge the status quo in your domestic environment. Though. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, we must not be content with just, receiving from people. Let us make our own. You can see, you go on Instagram today, you see so many female entrepreneurs, vendors selling also. That's financial empowerment. So that you're not at the mercy of anybody. You can stand. You can take a step. That's the only way. You can buy your own property. When they see that you can afford it. See, let me tell you. Let me give you a scenario. Somebody comes, she can't afford anything. She's just there. Family members have been taking care of her and all that. Then she now wants to come and fight for inheritance of, let's say, her father or her husband. Would they take her seriously? It's her right, though. It's her right, without a doubt. But will she be taken seriously? Say, oh, you've been waiting for your husband to die. Oh, you've been waiting for your father to die so that you can come and lay claims. But if you have your own and you come and make that assertion, they will know that it is simply based on principle that you are saying this is right and it must be done. Women must empower themselves financially. We must. You can stay at home. You can do so many creative things from where you are. There are so many skills. There's technology. There are so many things you can do these days. Financial empowerment, we can't do without it. So please, whatever you need to do, go to the market. Do you know how rich those market women are? Financial empowerment. You must take steps to empower yourself financially. Then finally, community support. Because look at the situation now. I have said that most of the problems that we are facing is because of our socio-cultural programming. Community support, yes, it will come from sensitization, advocacy, everybody now get on board, but we need to band together. We've been talking women support. But we need to band together, not just women, men. Community support, men must be invested in seeing some of these changes. And I tell you, honestly, a lot of men are. But when they look and they say the women that they are even fighting for self, the women are not, they are not supporting themselves. Community support. There are times that you just have to, times that affirmative action has to come into play. You have to say, oh, because this, you consider other things. I don't know if you've seen this picture on social media of a race where men and women are on the track ready to run. The men, their own line is clear. There's nothing in front of it. They are ready. Once they shoot that gun, they are ready to run. But for the women, if you look at that picture is an accurate depiction of reality. For the women, in front of their own line, you will see clothes that are hanging. You will see children that are at the back. You will see ironing table. You will see, those are the hurdles that women have to cross. So while somebody like me will advocate for equal value, but we must also realize that we as women, we deal with different things that men do not necessarily deal with at the moment. Hopefully, we would continue to do our own bits in our homes to work on the next generation of men, so that some of these hurdles that women have to cross now in this generation, in the next generation, the men will be more involved, providing a more level playing ground for both men and women. So there must be community, the community must be invested in seeing a breach in this gender gap. Those are some of the suggestions that I can make.
Okay, it's like we are totally out of time. But in conclusion, what will be your advice? What are the steps to take in conclusion to advise the women to break these barriers?
I would say, women, believe in yourselves. Mm-hmm. You are capable of so much more than you think you are. You can do it all. There's nobody that says you can't do it all. God has blessed us. God has made us, blessed us with the innate ability to multitask. We can do so many things at the same time. But follow your own path. That somebody is doing this, that somebody is going into politics, that somebody is going into the boardroom, it does not mean that that is where your own calling is. From your house, looking after your children, you can create great impact. Understand your purpose. Believe in yourself. Do not have fear. Do it afraid. There's nobody that is not doing it afraid. Do it afraid. Even if you say, will I be able to succeed? How will I manage my home? How will I manage work? How will I manage this? How will I manage that? Do it afraid. This is a Christian radio show, so I can go spiritual and say, God has given you that capacity to be able to do it. To my dear women out there listening to this, please believe in yourself. Please, any seed that God has placed in your heart, follow it. You can do it. You have the backing. But in all things, be wise. Don't come and say, because I want to do this, I want to do that. You will now neglect your primary constituency, your home. Observe your husband, your spouse, your whoever is in your domestic setup. Observe it and know the needs. Each home is different. Observe and know the needs, the peculiarities of your own home. If you know that this may not work, this bold move that you want to make now may not work, don't let that dream fizzle out. There are times and seasons for everything. Continue to nurture it. Continue to do the little that you can towards that goal. I assure you that a time will come when you will walk into that prepared purpose and make the impact that you are supposed to make.
That's a very good one. Meanwhile, Michael on WhatsApp is saying, thank you, baristas. Thank you so much this morning. At least my wife is listening. I hope she can take steps from now.
You see, I told you. See, it's the socio-cultural programming. Honestly, even if we can do it here, because we have been so programmed, we must break out of our mind first. We have been so programmed. Yes, the home is your primary constituency, but you can do more.
Yeah.
You can. Especially if you have a supportive spouse. You can do more.
So Michael's wife, you can do more.
And Michael, appreciate your wife. I'm sure she's doing a lot. Appreciate her.
Okay, we must sincerely thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.
Yes, sir.
We hope to see you when next we call on you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for listening to the program. It is Know Your Right, our legal program. It comes your way every Friday, 9:10 to 10 a.m. From me, ANOSIKE, CHIMEZIE, and our producer, Sandra Nche, it's goodbye and do have a lovely weekend.
This is Lagoon Radio.
Hello, everyone. I am the Right Reverend Ifedola Senasu Gabriel Okupevi, Bishop of Lagos. You are listening to Lagoon Radio, your number one online gospel radio in Nigeria, and the official radio of the Diocese of Lagos Anglican Communion. God bless you as you keep on listening to us. God bless Nigeria. God will keep Nigeria. Lagoon of blessings will be upon you. Keep on listening. Keep on smiling. And peace will reign in your domain. In Jesus' name.